This is Tony Falk, and you are listening to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
This is Steve BOWTIE Bryant here. Back in the 90s, I was a pro wrestling photographer for the South, and I released what might have been one of the original sets of indie trading cards. I ran across some of these original sets. They were up in Randall Fanning's attic all this time. PG-13 rookie card, Ricky Morton, George Weingroff as the Sheik, Chris Champion, Reno Riggins, Billy Montana, Gary Valiant, the Scorpion, the Medic, Rick Reynolds, Jeff Daniels, Mephisto and Dante, Ben Jordan, Steve Neely, Marcus Woodrow, Clinton Charisma, Little Farmer John. If you'd like an opportunity to get these cards, contact me now. You can get them for only $49.99. Contact me at stevebowtiebryant at iCloud.com. Get your set now while supplies last.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome one more time to the Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling podcast, and I'm here as always with my brother from the same father and mother, the Plastic Sheik, Jared Street. What's up, Sheik? How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, brother. How about yourself?
Man, I'm doing awesome, brother. We just getting back into real life now that we've lived our, wrestling weekend. Went out to Columbia, Tennessee to the MuleTown Mania Fanfest and the Right Way reunion. Man, that was fun, right?
Yeah, man, I had a blast. I really did. I didn't anticipate on how receptive everybody would be to us. I mean, I knew they knew you, but they didn't know me, and other than talking to me on this or listening to me on this, and they were just great, man. They were outstanding people, and I'm glad to have went, and hope to go again.
Yeah, no doubt, man. That was a lot of fun. Got to hang out with people that I haven't seen in years. And man, I just want to, just from the start of this, I just want to give a huge thank you to Shane and Virginia Morton. Man, I know they had some help. I know Virginia's brothers helped and family members, and Shane's family members always help. I mean, but golly, they just put on such a great thing. And I'll just say this, man, if y'all miss these, you're missing out big time, because these are, I think they're very important. I don't even care about my own class reunion from high school as much as as much as I care about these. So, I'm not trying to make anybody feel guilty or anything, but what I'm saying is like, these are must attend. You've got to come to these, because by hook or by crook, you're always going to feel better leaving, and you little fellowship with your wrestling brotherhood. And man, I mean, I want to say thank you all to how you all welcomed my brother and my son Cash. They're not in the business other than, fans of the business. And, I just greatly appreciate for everyone how much that just says a lot about what kind of people those people are. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. And, Virginia definitely introduced us to a new recipe on some banana pudding with those Nutter Butters in there, man.
Oh, I know.
Game-changing stuff, man.
Mm-hmm. They were awesome, man. So yeah, we'll have to put that in motion soon, man. But because our mom can make a mean banana pudding. She's world famous Sheila Street banana pudding. But Nutter Butters in that, wow, that might be next level. So
it was. If you like peanut butter, at least it's very good.
Yeah, and what was really cool, I got to sit down and talk to Tony Falk at length. Got to officially hang out with Ben Jordan, and man, Bubba Perry, Sonny Street, definitely going to be on the show very soon. We got to bring our cousin Sonny,
Yeah, absolutely,
man. And dude, I felt cool because there were so many guys that were interested and talked to us about the podcast. There was a former USWO champion, Dan the Man, Dynamite Dan. I had never met this gentleman. I think he had gotten out by the time I had gotten into the Nashville wrestling scene. He came up to me, and I unfortunately didn't get any contact info from him, but he came up to me and he was just like, man, I just want to thank you for this podcast. You know, you guys do an awesome thing. Getting to hear the stories from the guys that he worked with and remembers. And dude, and we heard that several times. Gordon talked to us about, just so many people, it really meant the world. And it made us feel like we are doing something with this podcast. That
almost reinvigorates you too, man.
Yeah. Yeah. It made me feel like this podcast was bigger than I even, ever expected it to be, is because people, it's hitting the right notes. Let's just say that.
Absolutely, man. I agree.
Yeah, and we're nobody. We're no name people. I'm not trying to act like we're all important and big time people. I'm just saying the amount of people that talk to us about the podcast, man, it just really made me feel good. And I can't thank any of them enough. Hanging out with Rick, hanging out with Kroll. I wish I could have hung out with Kroll even more. I just felt like in a lot of cases, I felt like I was getting pulled in so many directions. You know what I mean? And
absolutely, man.
Yeah, but it was a blast, man. And, we went out there kind of with expectations that I didn't feel like were let down, right? I feel like actually they were above what we even expected. And, then of course, the reunion happened and some great people won great awards. I'm so, happy to know those people. Our boy Scott Spade won a couple, man, I just think like it's just such a time of fellowship for wrestlers and all the wrestlers that I know. Of course, we missed a lot of guys. Plunky, Buzzy, Jeff Daniels couldn't make it because of his health, that he's recovering from that heart surgery. So, a lot of people were missing, but hopefully we'll get to see him next year. Doug Markham, it was a weird weekend. We actually made it out there and made it home in 24 hours. So, a little over, but still, man. We had 2 Buc-ee's trips.
Refueling multiple ways at Buc-ee.
Yeah, but it was good, man. And we left with, I think we left with full hearts, man. That's what I would like to say. I feel like we left with very full hearts. And the coolest thing of all is, the Sheik got to be the Plastic Sheik, and he visits Todd Camp's, kayfabe cave vendor stand. And I tell you what, before we go into this segment here, hit it, kids.
Action figure.
All right. Whenever you hear those words, you know what this is. This is a Plastic Sheik segment. So, Sheik, tell us a little bit about what you purchased from the Kayfabe Cave.
All right, brother. I sure will. It's, first of all, although I would have loved to have had Little Sheik out there with us. My wallet would have been a little lighter had he been with us. So, but first of all, when I went to the table, I was kind of like, oh man, for the, it's about an 8-foot table they had there. They had it packed full of some quality good stuff, man. And they first thing I saw was they had a on-card rockers, the tag team set that I'm sure everybody knows from the Hasbros. And I was like, yeah, man, that's going to have to come home with me. Then they had, I like the WWE Superstars line. It's the He-Man-esque WWE figures right now. And, sometimes they're hard to find. I know they're a Walmart exclusive, but, I'll go to 4 Walmarts and see, like, Series 1 still there, and they're, like, on Series 7 or 8. And I'm like, well, are these in the back or where they at? So they had one of the Hulk Hogan, kind of the heel Hulk Hogan from his first, where Freddie Blassie was his manager.
Yeah.
And it was the Chase version with the blue pants. So I got that. And then I got a Virgil. I always loved the Virgil character with, as DiBiase's valet or bodyguard or whatever you want to call him. I just always loved that look.
Yeah.
I think he just looks, I don't know, super cool now, like cut off sleeve tuxedo-esque kind of look. And and it was a figure like that, and it was the first version of it for Mattel. I don't know if they've ever made another one, but I got that, and I got Little Sheikah, AJ Styles Funko Pop that was open already, and I got a mystery box as I was leaving. I was like, I got to get one more thing. Got a mystery box, and ended up having a Mark Miro figure in there.
Nice. Okay.
So that was pretty cool because we've heard Mark Miro talk, and he's been to Paisley School and everything like that and talked before. So it was kind of cool that we got that figure.
That is cool. And it was in a mystery box. Yeah.
It was in a mystery box. Couldn't see what it was going to be. So
yeah, that's awesome, man. I dig that. Was it a bone crunching or what was it?
No, it wasn't the bone crunching. It was it was around that same time. It was probably after the bone crunching though. He's got it might have been as they were going to run him with Steve Austin, and then they had Sable kind of beat him on TV, and then it's like, well, how could you have him face Steve Austin? The Sable beat it didn't make sense what they did there, but
yeah,
is what it is. I can't remember what. I don't know. It's not the bone crunching, so it's after the bone crunching, but I don't know. I wasn't too familiar with that line because
no problem.
Yeah. That's a hole in my game right there. Is whatever that line is.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. Well, dude, that was a haul. I know you looked at the table and then you left with a mystery box. You went back one more time. You're like, let me just throw a little more here. And yeah, but Todd and Jesse are great people.
It might be from the Stomp series though. It might be from the Stomp series.
Okay. I was about to ask you that actually. Was it from that tactical line or what?
Yeah, but he doesn't have any of the accessories. It's just the figure. He's got like silver pants and like a black bandana covered his head or whatever.
Okay.
I think it's Stomp. I think it might be Stomp though, but that's a little out of my wheelhouse on that, unfortunately.
All good, man. All good. But long story short, Todd and Jesse, great people. We appreciate them.
Great people.
Kayfabe Cave. They've helped out the Wolfie D podcast many times, and we're just grateful to them, and we love that. Like I said, there's so many elements. I text Shane this a while back. You had Shane running the reunion and putting together the Fan Fest deal. Then, of course, you had Todd Camp as the vendor. You had Jablonski as the wrestling promoter at the end of the night with his TriStar Wrestling. Then, of course, you had us with the podcast. So, I mean, if you put all that together, that was a lot of fun. And, of course, the reason you're all tuning in today is, of course, the reason that we went. Other than the reunion, we went to do a live podcast. And, man, I feel like this one was epic. It was the Devil's Disciples, Dante, Mephisto, and Rick Reynolds as Damien, Forsaken, whatever you want to call him. Then, of course, you have the Wild Boys, Steve Neely and Ben Jordan. Then, of course, you have the Mortons, Steve and Shane. So, you put that together. We did a little round table discussion about their feud in Columbia and what that built, for decades. The feud was a blood feud for decades. So in a little bit, you're going to hear that. We're going to hear that entire live recording. But before we get into that, I want to comment on a few things. First of all, I want to give a deep, deep, deep gratitude to Cash, my son. I taught him how to use my recording software for like 5 minutes. It was maybe even less than that.
5 minutes. Yeah, maybe less.
And I said, Cash, these microphones are bringing in different audio. What I need you to do is pay attention to the levels and up it or bring it down as is needed. Okay. And he did a stellar job. Oh my God. I was so concerned about the quality of that recording, Jared, that it was hanging in the back of my mind because we did get the live option, but we wanted to be able to preserve it and save it and keep it and play it for everyone else that wasn't able to attend and maybe show them what they missed. You know what I'm saying? And maybe they'll come back next time and say, I don't want to miss that again, And
yeah, absolutely.
And dude, Cash knocked it out of the park. Then, of course, I had you didn't get to ask as many questions, but you did listen to the quality of the audio as it was being recorded. If I did not have you and Cash there, that would have almost been impossible. I know I couldn't have matched the leveling as well and then still be the host. You know what I'm saying? That would have been a lot of work. So really, it took all three of us to make that happen. And I know I did pass it to you a couple times times to ask questions. But I mean, when it came down to it, your job of quality control, Cash's job of leveling and watching the live recording, and me asking the questions, that all those jobs were incredibly important to what this show is today. You know what I'm saying? So my eternal gratitude to my son, Cash, who never did that before in his life, and my eternal gratitude to you for being the quality control. Man, it was a blast. And I'm just so proud of the job that we were able to do, and now that we're going to be able to let this story be told to everyone. And I know we weren't able to get to all the stories and all that, but I feel like for what we got, I'm extremely proud of it, and it good, it's a good thing. So
yeah, man, part of it too, though. I mean, you say, part of it, I was listening in, trying to, I was picturing everything, I've never got to be there for a match between them, and that, I'm sitting there listening and taking it all in, and just hearing the passion in their voices, and the the smiles that would, when they would think of something, a memory that would come to mind, and they would, it's unfortunate, and maybe that's something in the future we could video it or something like that. We had nothing like this, another thing like this, because just seeing the gratitude they had for us to giving them the platform to be able to tell this story to a bigger audience. You could tell it meant a lot to them.
It definitely did. And, and that is maybe something we can do in the future. I am always open to options. And, I've talked to Shane after the event, and he's got things that he's always wanting to make it better for next time. So who knows what'll happen next time, but hopefully we can be there, and hopefully we can make this happen again. I mean, like I said, this is something that I've never done before. I've had a podcast for almost 3 years with Wolfie D. He and I have never been able to make this happen yet. So, man, just like I said, an eternal debt of gratitude to Shane and Virginia, to you and Cash, to all the guys that were on that panel to talk about this blood feud that happened for decades there, and actually happened after the podcast as well. They had a 14 or 16 man match that, kind of was seen as a blow off to that feud. And, so Steve Morton took the victory, and, over Scott Spade, and due to a misfire on Dante's fireball, he was a misfire on a fireball. But anyway, I highly recommend anyone that can go look for the videos of that. That was incredible, because that was a large fireball being thrown there. So very cool. But yeah. But anyway, the one other thing I want to say real quick is, man, Steve Neely is a hard man, isn't he? For all, and I'm not talking bad about Steve. I'm just saying that brother, he first of all, he's stayed in shape, and he is a serious man, and I respect that about him. I kind of somewhat cracked a joke about the buckets of blood, and he looked at me with all sincerity, and he said, "No, it's really that much blood." And I'm like, "Okay, yes, sir, I believe you."
Yeah.
So, but what a good guy, what a great tag team, the Wild Boys. I love Ben and just getting to know Steve. I respect him so much. Obviously, I have much love for Steve and Shane as well. And the Devils, as dirty and dastardly as they are, you got to love those guys, man. They're just some quality people, and I'm so glad that our very first podcast, very first live podcast, we did it with these guys and told this story, man. So anyway, I say let's go ahead and play the recording, man. What do you say?
Absolutely, man. Let's do it. Let's get to it.
All right, y'all stick around. After these commercials, you're going to hear the live recording of the Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling podcast with the Devils, the Wild Boys, and the Mortons. Stick around.
Hey guys, this is Wolfie D from PG-13. Check out my podcast, Live and in Color with Wolfie D, every Monday at noon. We're talking Memphis, we're talking ECW, WCW, WWF, everywhere that I've been. We even have some great guests, some Hall of Famers on the show with us. Every Monday, Live and in Color with Wolfie D.
This is Kroll, and you're listening to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling with Jimmy Street and Jarrett the Plastic Sheik. Be sure to like, subscribe, and view all of our USWO and Saw Wrestling content at Nashville Wrestling Network, exclusively on YouTube.
Welcome everyone to the first of all MuleTown Mania Fanfest. We are Gimme Back My Pro Wrestling, and we have the distinguished gentlemen of Columbia, Tennessee Wrestling in front of us here. So we have the Devil's Disciples, Damien, Great Mephisto, and Dante. Put it together.
Hey! Hey!
Nobody's gonna cheer for the Devil?
Don't like it.
I know y'all about to cheer for these guys. Next up we have Steve Neely and Ben Jordan, the Wild Boys. Okay, well, let's see who the real baby faces are when we introduce. Is it the Magnificent? No, I'm just kidding. The Morton brothers, Steve and Shane Morton. So yeah, we want to welcome you all, but most of all, we want to welcome these gentlemen who literally gave their blood, sweat, and tears for this town's professional wrestling. There's nothing like it. We've been big fans of these guys since we met them. You know, I will say, you know, Steve Neely and Steve Morton both, we're appreciative to have you on. Now, Ben was telling me you were cool with coming on, but Shane told me you didn't ever want to come on.
Well, Shane's right, because there's so many stories out there, and I don't want to incriminate me or Shane on them.
Okay, all right, well, that's cool. Well, all right, thank you for I don't even know how to answer that.
That's just like a mic drop.
I don't even know what it's
Podcast over.
So sincerely, though, thank you all for having us. We would love to welcome Steve Neely and Steve Morton to the podcast. You know, Shane told me that. I'm not going to fight about it. So, but you know, the Devil's, this is kind of really the Devil's Disciples story, basically. And then you worked in these tag teams so far and so forth. So I guess start off by telling me the formation of the Devils.
The formation of the Devils. Let's see. Let me think on this. Mike Porter was the Great Mephisto first, and we started in '89.
Yeah.
Mike Porter left the team, and then we've got another Mephisto, the greatest Mephisto, and Mike Wheels, Cool Breeze.
Yes.
And then Cool Breeze, he messed up and he lost his mask and he went on his way. And then we got the great Damien.
Yes.
He come in.
Yes.
And then he went on his way and became Forsaken. And then we got the greatest of all Mephistos with me right now.
Yes, sir. Yes. Arvel Hutto, right?
He's building up.
Well, we're going to get to you soon, I promise, okay? But, so, I guess, let's first off, you know, one team is not here, right? We wish they were, Billy and Gary, just not here with us, right? So, we hope y'all are doing good, Billy and Gary. Now, I guess talk about what the initial start of that feud, the Scots and the Devils. Talk about that initial start.
Well, the Scott boys, I met them in Nashville. We run a bar called Pee Wee's in West Nashville.
Yeah.
We run it one time and the place burned down. I believe that all the way. It did really good. And they looked good and it was real, just good workers. Just to be starting, it was really good.
Yeah.
And we brought them into Columbia to do a program with them. They was young boys and we thought we could make some money with them. And we did.
Yeah. And then it looks like, now if I'm not off the time here, I guess, when did Cool Breeze come in, or was he from the very beginning with the Scots?
He was with the beginning of the Scots.
At the very beginning, yes. Right, okay, gotcha. So I guess let's give Cool Breeze his flowers real quick. Right. Talk about him a little bit.
Cool Breeze, he was one of a kind. He was a very tough individual, and he could give it and he could take it too, but he was a real tough man.
Yeah.
And a great pleasure to be around. All the guys love Cool Breeze.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted to work with Cool Breeze.
Yeah.
And he looked the part.
Yeah.
I mean, he just looked the part of a wrestler part. He looked like our Mephisto with his devil tattoos. He was just the perfect guy.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so now, if I'm not mistaken, in 1994, you guys go to a little territory y'all may have heard of called USWA, and you take the tag team titles from those dirty punks PG-13. I'd love to hear a little bit about that.
Yes, we did, and we had some really good matches there and a good storyline, and they had the little Midget D with him, they called him Little Road Warrior, Midget D. And we could do some comedy spots with him down there in our matches, and it was good. And we stayed for a few weeks, and then we kind of missed our independent shows where we could make more money, and we just was happier with the independents than working for the Jarrett promotion.
Yeah, I know. Now that makes sense. Ben has told us that same thing. You want the tit for tat. You want the matches. You don't want just the quick over. Yeah, I get it. That makes total sense. Now, in around this time, just a couple, what'd you say? Wild Boys would enter the fray, and I believe it's Ben and Steve, right? Is that y'all's name? No, introduce yourselves, fellas.
Well, I'm Ben.
I'm Steve.
And we're the Wild Boys.
Yeah, you're the Wild Boys.
To go back in history, actually, I got to work with Great Mephisto and Dante with Mike Porter as the Great Mephisto.
Okay.
We first time I ever done a main event, I was greener in grass.
Yeah.
And the main guys on the show up in Bowling Green were gone out west on the tour. Yeah. So they had a bunch of us locals there. And lo and behold, Mephisto and Dante walked in, and I knew Mike Porter, and he grabbed me and this other kid named Danny Steamboat, and he said, y'all are going to be in the main event with us.
Yeah.
And of course, we looked at each other and said, oh no. It's like, we can't do it. We don't know how to do a main event. So we did a 2 out of 3 fall with the Great Mephisto and Dante, me and Danny. Well, I went on, did the Ben Jordan thing, and of course, the Great Mephisto and Dante were Cool Breeze, got in with the Scott brothers, was doing Pee-wees, and then later turned into Bass. And I learned a lot from watching their matches on how spontaneous that was. And I had formed a tag team called Double Trouble.
Double Trouble.
And I had told, it was Tracy Wynn at the time, and I told him, because Billy was training to go overseas, and sometimes they'd stand me in with Billy or me in with Gary, and we'd fight the devil some. Well, then, of course, you just got to where it wasn't steady. And so when I got me a tag team partner, I told Tracy, I said, the spot we want is that Scott Brothers spot.
Yeah.
I said, I want that spot to fight with the Devils.
Yeah.
And we started, we had a good little thing, and then, of course, Tracy disappeared on me.
Right.
So, lo and behold, Steve is wanting trained, and I'm going to train Steve, and he's going to go on his own. I'm like, I don't want a partner. I'm Ben Jordan. I'm going to be me.
Right.
And so he said, Steve, come to me. He said, no, I want us to be partners.
Yeah.
I said, I thought about it, and I said, okay, I got the gimmick. And I had the Wild Boys name, I had the Wild Boy music, I had all of that set up. And we brought Steve in on Halloween night, and that started our feud. And Steve started, he went right to the main event, right out of the gate.
Yeah.
And then I'll let Steve jump in here on that.
Yeah, hit it up.
It's over.
Just took it all.
I was leading up to it.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and introduce, honestly, I'll be honest, I have so many, all these guys, I love these guys to death. But one of my favorite people right here, Mr. Rick Reynolds, Forsaken. Now, I know that a lot of the time was Dante and Mephisto, right? But then you were too big to be a Mephisto. Is that what they said? Somebody said that.
Well, I was running as the medic, and then when Breeze dropped out, then that's when I was asked to be Damien.
Yeah.
And it was an honor, and I thought, that's great.
Yeah.
And basically that's where I learned wrestling.
Yeah.
I was trained by the Undertaker.
Right.
And but I really didn't learn a whole lot. Right. So once I got out of training with the Undertaker, I went with Tommy, and he taught me wrestling.
Okay, Tommy.
I think we can all say that.
Yeah. I ate at a restaurant with the Undertaker one time. Not together, but he was on one side and I was on the other. So I considered to be trained by him. So
fair enough.
Let's not confuse facts with a good story, okay?
I'm trained by Tony Falk.
He is trained. That's a good one to be trained by.
So anyway, but okay, so that's funny. But did you all work Cool Breeze and Dante? How long did you all work with them before you went to Rick, would you say?
I don't think none of us can remember that.
But it wasn't too long, was it?
I don't think it was too long.
Because I know that you was green, and the first time Ben and I worked together, it was we were greening grass, both of us, and we was working in Shelbyville, and they put us. We supposed to go like a 10-minute time limit or something, and the timekeeper went to the back, and me and him both, we did everything we knew in about 5 minutes. And man, the days. We got knocked out on the floor, and I was just glad it was cool. I was blowed up.
It feels so good.
It felt so good just lay on the concrete. But it wasn't too awful long that once that breeze came on that we started with the Wild Boys.
Yeah, okay.
And it was a good heated feud for several years. Several years.
Feud. How much blood would you think you spilled?
In buckets.
Buckets?
If you were to measure buckets.
Enough to fill this room, bro.
And he's not laughing.
No,
everybody's blood pressure went down. That's for sure.
It was a nightly thing. I mean, no matter where we worked, there was color every night, whether it was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or hell, start on Tuesday. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It was like every night.
Every night. But that's one of the things that Columbia was built on. Columbia was built on hard wrestling, blood, fighting, and believable. It was believable. Everything we put out was believable.
Yeah, that's the thing. The people believe it. Yeah. They believe what we was doing.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I would like
but
to.
But they had to because it was real. They had to believe it because it was real. We had so many knots on our heads, man, and pulling nails. I pulled tacks out of Cool Breeze's bag from wooden boards where they have a nail or something in it.
Oh, man.
It was some bad stuff back then. We had these meat trays that we'd eat you on the head, and they just wrap around and hit you on the other side of the head. I mean, we just beat each other to death, and so they had to believe us.
When you do stuff like that, though, the thing about it is when you do a match like that, you can't miss something.
Yeah.
You can't swing a chair or a meat tray and miss. Hell no, you got to lay it in. I mean, it's like a gun went off in the room, you know what I mean?
We did lay it in.
You didn't hold back. It wasn't no working swing. It wasn't none of that. It was about how you rear back and hit somebody.
It was a good half shoot match.
Yeah. Well, Shane and Steve, what do y'all remember of these feuds?
Well, I remember starting out probably early 90s, doing a little bit of ring crew and started refereeing a little bit. Actually doing personal security for some devils.
Nice.
Following them around, doing.
I remember them days.
That's awesome. Doing personal security for them. I was like, man, these guys are brutal. Man, they might need some help. I might just help them. And then, I don't know, probably when Ben and Steve was wrapping up, they said, we need to put somebody in the next position up.
Yeah.
And they moved me and Steve in up to that position, and I'll never forget the night we went over for the tag team straps. I believe the building about blew the roof off.
Yeah,
it sure did. It was one of the loudest pops ever in that building.
Yeah, that's what I believe too. And I didn't even know we was even working him that night. And I showed up and he said, "Oh, you're main event. And you're working the Devils." I thought, what in the world I get myself into here?
That's what I said the first time.
And when you got in the ring with Cool Breeze, you better be ready to fight, or you better not swing a chair, barely hit him with it, because he's going to kill you with it if you did.
And then laugh about it.
Yeah. Hey,
who has the best impersonation of Cool Breeze laugh?
Hey there, buddy. Hey there, buddy. That was a good one there, wasn't it?
The toughest dude has the highest voice.
I believe Cool Breeze gave me the hardest chop I ever had in my life.
Yeah.
We ran in on the ring. It was him and Tony fought against me and Shane.
Yeah.
And I was chopping him, and the referee said, hit him hard. I was hitting as hard as I could.
Yeah.
My hand felt like it was just numb. He spun me around and chopped me so hard, I thought my chest was in the third row. I thought, oh my gosh.
Let me tell you, if we ever had to hit the ring on House of Fire, I was making sure I was the first one to hit the ring. I was going to Dante.
So you can pick and you give it your oh man, that's messed up.
We got Breeze. We got Dante.
Y'all got Dante.
Steve's got Breeze.
Steve's got the Breeze.
That makes sense, yeah.
And every time I worked him, I was either going to get a busted nose or lip. I just knew it was coming every time. It didn't matter.
You could bet on it, couldn't you?
Yeah, you can put money on it.
Now, this is maybe a dumb question, but was it so when they blew off their feud and it was over, did you all come right in, or was there a delay for it? How did or was it just boom?
I think it was about a week delay, and then we went right into the to kind of build us up to that we were the next up and coming deal. I don't think it was just the very next week. I think it was about a week delay, and then
I think you're right.
and then we went in with them, and we didn't even know what this was, you know, and so we just out there doing our thing, and next thing you know, like I said, that night, I'll never forget that night as long as I live. We went over for the tag team straps. That building went absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
That's one of the loudest ones I ever had.
Yeah.
Still chasing it today.
Yeah, there you go. Hey. Well, okay, what were y'all's thoughts on the Mortons? Love to hear what y'all think about it.
Oh, very easy to work. The people loved them so much. It was like a night off.
Okay.
We didn't have to hardly do nothing.
Okay.
But that one night we brought that handsaw out on Shane Morton's head.
Yeah.
It was a fight for your life to get out of there, brother. And they come alive. So we had a lot of good heat with them. It was their hometown boys and all.
Yeah.
Oh, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Very, very easy.
Yeah.
Especially if my mother was in the crowd.
Oh, goodness, yes. Yes. Definitely.
We had an extra fight.
Yes. And it goes back to the Scott brothers. They used to bring their family in, and her mama, oh man, his mama, Gary Scott's mama, holy moly.
I remember one night we was in a cage, like Steve said, we was in a cage, and they were beating the crap out of us, and he's like, some crazy lady's climbing the cage. Looked up, I said, oh Lord, that's my mama.
She looked like Spider-Man.
So, okay, I've always wanted to ask the Rock and Roll Express what they thought of the Fantastics. Now, that's a dumb question. We know they respect each other. But I would love to hear y'all's thoughts on the Wild Boys.
On the Wild Boys?
Yeah.
Let me just tell you, to me, they say the highest form of flattery is imitation.
Sure.
Well, it was two tag teams we always try to imitate. It was the Wild Boys and PG-13. We always try to do, and Ben and Steve laugh about it now because, Steve got mad at you. Damn, he keeps stealing our moves. Hey, that looks pretty cool. We'll do that too.
Were you really hot? No. Okay, all right. I want you to say yes, though.
Yeah, so, I mean, you know, there's times, then I think Ben and Steve decided they were going to get some new gear, and, hey, yeah, we're going to sell it. Oh, yeah, we'll buy them. We'll take them. Well, we started wearing the gear, too.
So I guess if we could go around here, because we do have to introduce our Mephisto here, and that is really where you come around. You know, you come on, and then theoretically, and I'm glad that y'all are so kind to sit so close to one another right now, because in a minute, that's not going to be the same way. So I guess, Arvil, when you came into the feud, obviously the majority of your work has been with the Mortons. I know you've worked with many other people, but after you took on the Mephisto, you know, mantle, I guess, how did you feel like? I'm assuming it was a blessing to come into the position. And
yes, it's probably, I guess when I really came back was probably, 11 when you got me back in?
Probably.
and of course, the foundation of it had been laid out, the Devils and the Mortons. And,
right.
Hey, I had to try to step up and stay right in there with old Cool and all of them, and Big Rick here, so I enjoyed every minute of it. I loved it, and as much as I love Tommy, we've been together for a long time. I worked against him for a long time, and I tagged with him for a long time. But I couldn't ask for a better partner. You know, we came back, and Tommy made me step up to stay with the Morton, Steve, and
me and Arvil
Shane
have known each other since the Nick Goulas days.
Oh Lord,
about
yes.
77. We've known each other for years and years and years. Like you said, we worked each other and tag teamed each other.
Yeah, against each other. But I came in with I worked against Mephisto and Dante. When it was Cool Breeze and Tommy.
Right.
And you know who was my partner? Wolfie D.
Wolfie D.
Me and him started out in Lowtown, Tennessee there, and we had some good matches, you know. And then Chris Kern, me and him teamed against him, and Cool Breeze. He's probably one of the best ones I worked with, Tommy. You hit him, he'll laugh at you. You okay? But hey, it's all been good. Like I said, I worked against him with him, And I'm sure like working with them and then against them.
A lot easier.
Because it's a lot better, a lot easier, especially this guy right here to my right. Big Pete. Big Pete, listen to me. I bring back a lot of stuff, don't it? Wolfie D's boy. But anyway, that's when I came in. And me and Tommy started in 11 together, and 19 we got out.
Okay.
We retired from the ring until somebody called us back in. But it's just been a blessing to be with him.
Yeah, that's awesome. So go ahead, Jerry.
All right, we're going to start with Rick here. I've got a question for each of you. You on the ends here, you get to think a little bit more about it. So, what's your favorite match in the feud? Favorite matches? You've got a couple of them.
I think one that stands out is that we were working Shane and Steve, and we had a bunch of guys from Chicago down, and they was watching, and we took a bottle, sugar bottle, and busted Shane in the head with it. He juiced. I mean, it was running, and 90% of wrestling is selling. If you get somebody that can sell believable selling,
right,
you can do something with it. And Shane was always one of the best sellers out there. And Shane sold it like a charm and juiced, and everybody was just all to pieces, thought we done killed him. And that was one of the ones. And another one that stands out, which I've had great matches with Ben and Steve, and I love them to death. And me and Steve laughed several times. We'd go to each other, grab an arm, and we had a big time. But I think the other one was with Shane also, was that we was running a feud, and we was doing this gimmick with a snake. And I couldn't do it because I was scared of a snake. And Charmin Charles taught me, listen, this snake's not going to bite you and all this stuff. And we did it, and it worked like a charm. Shane sold it like a pro, and that was another one that just, they called an ambulance to him.
Yeah.
And I guess at least 4 or 5 times during the feuds that they called ambulances. So in order to do that, it had to be believable. Right. So when I was getting into business, and I think I've said this before, was Lynn Rossi was talking to me, and he said, there's 2 kinds of BS. BS, and believable BS. And if you put on believable BS, people will come and watch.
Right.
But if you just go out there and flip and flop with no believability, everybody knows it's a work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Talking about that snake thing, it was here in this building.
Sure was.
Oh, man.
And they called the off-duty guardsman was an off-duty paramedic, and he called on the radio, he's been bitten by a Guatemalan patin. And I'm like, I never even heard of a Guatemalan patin. And so they take me to the hospital by ambulance. I'm not going to tell them.
Yeah.
And that cost me $1,500 shot in the rear end for that snake venom.
Oh, man.
And then the doctor comes in and says, are you some kind of celebrity? I said, no, why? He said, there's 450 people out here in the waiting room waiting on you. And I'm like, you're kidding. And I walked out to a standing ovation.
Wow.
At the hospital.
But they believed it.
Yeah, that's the point. Yeah. What about you, Arvin?
The best match, I tell you, all the matches I had, they all was good. With the deal we was doing when I came back with him. I don't know. I didn't get in real deep with some things like they had in the past.
Sure.
I came in, like I say, the foundation was already laid there. All I had to do was just breathe with them. So, but I say all the matches we had is probably, you can say they right up there with the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I can't pick one out.
Just one.
They all was good.
One of them was one of your favorites.
Yeah.
Okay.
They all was good.
Okay, we're only going to let you cop out. All right, your turn.
Okay. Good.
Okay, repeat the question.
What would you say was one of your favorite times of your feud, or maybe just a favorite match that you had in the feud?
I had that trouble.
Like you said, it's all good. I mean, we had good heat with both teams. But one of the favorite things I did was we had a tar and feather match.
Yes.
And we lose
We beat them, but they turned the tables on us and tar and feathers us. Then the next week we do the same thing, and the damn thing's happened to us again. So, you know, the baby faces lose the match, but we get the tar and feather.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's happy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The
Yeah.
fans are happy, you know.
Right.
And they don't hurt them now.
Right, exactly.
But, you know, something like that. We done so many angles like that with the tar and feathers and the painted yellows and the cage matches and chain matches. There's just been so many.
Yeah.
Hard to pick just
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll let you cop out too. All right, Steve Neely.
Good job.
What about you, Wild Boy?
All right, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm copping out too. Every single one of them was good, but I'm gonna tell you a quick story,
please,
to tell you how the feud was, and I'm sure it's been the same way with them. We did our feud. Shane and them come in. We've been back and forth. Like we come in, we did another run. They do another run. It just went on for years.
Yeah.
So, Bert Prentice, Mike Porter, it was down here running Grand Slam. And Mike Porter was back as being Mephisto. Jeff Daniels was booking, and he was complaining and bitching. We've seen this 10,000 times. Why? We don't need it no more.
Right.
So we go out and we have our match. Well, when you got great heels with that kind of heat, when it was all done, we walked back through the back. Jeff Daniels goes, "How hell? Let's see it 10 more thousand people on their feet." And that's the truth. That this angle never went away. And if we were all young enough and could do it, I bet you we could pick it right back up today and start off again.
It never got old. People just never got tired of seeing it. It was believable.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. But 10,001 times they were still standing, so we could do it again. That's my story. There's no bad match that I can remember.
Yeah.
Every match I ever had with them, I thought was always great. People was always on their feet.
Yeah.
They was either cheering or they were pissed, one or the other.
What about you, Ben?
All right, I do have a favorite. And it's with the Devils. It was at the Columbia Grand Slam. It was a ballroom brawl, a barbed wire match. Steve Bryant was taking photos, and
bow tie.
And it was one of Steve's first matches, but it was a doozy. We had Big Mike was the referee. All 5 people were bleeding by the time this was over. The referee included. We was all hitting him too, and so that's one of my most fondest memories is that match. And at the end was when the big giant scorpion that would come and assist y'all brought in the Drano.
Oh God, yes!
Hit me in the face with the Drano, and Beehive, one of our great fans that's gone on. She just screaming, "It was Drano! It was Drano!" That's got to be one of the. I remember that one more than any. All of them were great, but that one really sticks out.
Yeah, we had the Drano Campbell. People really thought that was Drano, man. It was food coloring.
Okay.
And they bought it. Man, it was hot.
That's awesome. That's good. What about you, Steve?
Well, I know my youngest son a couple years ago. We worked them here in 2014, I believe. The Devils. He said, "Is everybody still like this?" And I said, "Well, just watch the crowd tonight." He said, "Look how crazy they are." He said, "Look how crazy the crowd is still popping after 25 years of watching y'all."
Yeah.
So that was a very good compliment to me that the crowd is still into it like that.
Yeah.
One of my favorite ones, I believe it was Tommy and Lucifer. We was in a cage match, and one of my favorite memories of it, Shane comes off the top of the cage with a meat tray and just killed Lucifer right in the head with that thing. It just folded over. He looked like almost like Darth Vader.
Yeah.
That always just sticks out in my mind. And I've got a picture of him coming halfway off the cage. Steve Bryant might have took this picture, and I'm holding him, and Shane's just coming flying off with that meat tray in his hand there.
That's awesome, man. I hope we see some pictures of that soon.
Join me, Gene Jackson, for the Jackson Interaction Podcast, where I'll be doing one-on-one interviews with people from the world of professional wrestling, as well as stand-up comedy. You can get them anywhere podcasts are available in both video and audio form, but you can find them all at GeneJacksonPod.com.
This is your rock star ring announcer, Aaron Camaro. I'm a man who believes the 2 greatest art forms ever created are professional wrestling and heavy rock music. So when I'm not hosting the best parties that also happen to be live professional wrestling shows, I'm hosting the Decibel Geek Podcast. Decibel Geek is a weekly podcast that features discussions of all things rock. We're talking the Beatles, the Stones, Led Zeppelin, Jimi Hendrix, Black Sabbath, Kiss, Ozzy, Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses, Metallica, Alice in Chains, Pantera, and everything in between. Plus, we'll turn you on to new bands from today that have the same spirit and style that the legends do. Decibel Geek is hosted by myself, along with Rockin' Pod founder Chris Sinzak, and each week you'll get interviews with famous musicians and industry insiders, along with informative, entertaining, humorous, and insightful discussions, and most importantly, a passion for the music. So if you love to rock out as much as I do, then this is your invitation to the greatest rock and roll party in all of podcasting. It's Decibel Geek, and it's available right now on all major podcast platforms. Oh yeah.
What about you, Shay?
Well, I think I got two matches that really stick out in my mind.
Okay.
The first one, working for, now don't fall out now, was working for Power Slam Wrestling in Nashville.
Oh, wow.
And we was working Harding Mall. So Big Score goes out there the very first match, drops a leg, went plumb through the ring, broke the ring.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh God, what are we going to do? Somebody, oh Lord. We can't have no more wrestling, and how about the Morton brothers and the Devils go out there? Can y'all do like a Tupelo, Mississippi concession stand brawl? Said, sure. So we went out there, and Damien, we get to fighting everywhere, and there's coke all over the floor. He goes and super kicks me, about knocks me and Dante both out, splits my lip, is hanging down, and he goes, oh, you're bleeding. Where'd that come from? I said, oh, Jesus. About knocked me out. And Steve's wife was pregnant at the time. She was so mad, and I don't think she come after this. She picked up one of these concrete things right there and threw it at either one of y'all or both of y'all. Yeah. And it was just crazy. And my second favorite match of all time, and I'm pretty sure it was all three of them. I believe I'm right. We was in Mount Pleasant, Tennessee, and somebody was running a show against us and said, don't go down the road there and see something you've seen 25 years ago.
Oh, I know who that is.
This ain't going to draw, and blah, blah, blah. You need to come to this real wrestling.
Right.
And we packed 550 people in the building that night.
Right.
And they said, how long is this main event going? I said, we're going out there for about 10 seconds. And they like, you're kidding. 10 seconds, that main event was over with. So we finished it the next night in Lewisburg, Tennessee, and he had standing room only.
Man, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, okay, so I'm going to ask you a general question together. How about that? So this was a question we like to ask everybody, but for you gentlemen, I think you may say yes or something no. But if you could do it all over again, would you?
My answer is yes, no.
Yes, no?
Yes, no.
Okay.
It was...
That'd be one of them.
Well, listen, when I wake up in the morning now, the answer is no. You know, because your hips hurt, your back hurts, your neck hurts, your shoulders hurt, you know, everything. But one of the main reasons I think all of us and wrestlers in general that become a part of this is for the adrenaline.
Yeah.
And there's no better adrenaline in the world than walking out that door and having the response of whatever you want it to be.
Right.
You know, of us working heels.
Yeah.
We walked out the door, we got the response that we were seeking.
Yeah.
And night after night after night, working quality people. And like with Ben and Steve and Shane, Steve, I love these guys.
Right.
We beat the dog and we're sick. You know that? There's something wrong with us. that you go in and you beat each other with chairs and pans and everything else. It's, that was good. Yeah, that was fun. Bleeding and pulling staples out of your back and everything else. But that part of just the brotherhood and the trust that you have for the guys that you're working, because when we're out there, we're giving our bodies to them guys,
right.
and in return, they're trusting us with theirs, not to injure them. We may hurt them, but we're not going to injure them.
Right. So, what about you, Arvel?
Well, I'm going to echo what he said. If I do it again at my age when I started, yes, I wouldn't change nothing.
Right.
Maybe get a little better, maybe a little lighter on what some of them say. I'm from Idaho. I don't know what that means. They don't know.
I know. We know.
The inside of my mouth at night when I get through what I get.
Yeah.
But no, I like to work tight.
Okay.
I like for people to believe in it.
Sure.
And if I don't believe in it, then it ain't no good.
Amen.
So I try to do the best I can, but I wouldn't change nothing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't change nothing for the world. Meeting people like we got right here, that's the best.
Yeah, that's the best.
And I'm not saying nothing against this other kind coming up. That's their time to do it. But I love the time that I got in.
Yeah.
What time? I wish I could have done a lot more. Lane Rossi, Tojo, Bearcat Brown, you remember him?
Oh, yeah.
All them guys. I got to be in the same spot with them guys.
Yeah.
So, no, I would do it again.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I most definitely would do it again. most definitely. Because I love all these guys. They're my family.
Yeah.
They're just pretty much my family. I love them just like my kids.
That's awesome.
And I've tried to help every one of them any way I could. And
right.
I just love these guys.
Yeah.
They are my family, and I love all of them. Steve, Ben, Shane, I love you all. Yeah, I'd definitely do it again.
Mr. Neely, what about you, sir?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Not a question. He said a key word was trust.
Yeah.
And I know you're going to remember this. We was in Lewisburg. And people talking about, they're down there, they're cutting herself. Okay. He tied me up, one arm to this chain or the cage. That cage, my hands were free. About 10 seconds later, I was gushing. Where in the hell did that come from? But it was trust. I trusted him. I trusted every single one of them. Breeze when he imported, even Porter.
Right.
Trusted all of them with, it's my body.
Yeah.
You take care of it. But let's put as many butts in the seats as we can.
Yeah.
So would I do it again? Absolutely.
All right.
100%. I'd do it again. These guys, how could you go wrong?
Right.
And I just want to say one thing. I think to everybody here but Steve Morton, but if I'm wrong, you'll have to correct me on this. I apologize for hitting all the potatoes, all the Idahos that I give. Hey, and I can't help it. I'm thinking I might have one time when somebody ducked, but I know I've gave Shane and Steve. I don't know that I ever gave you any.
One time in Shelbyville.
One time that you remember.
Okay. I remember this specifically.
So just my apologies to all.
Yeah.
I definitely would. 100%.
Okay. I love it.
Oh, yeah, it's not a shadow of a doubt. Just the memories we've got, and just take it with us to our grave.
Yeah.
I would do it in a heartbeat and wouldn't even think twice about it.
Yeah, okay.
Personally, myself.
Yeah.
And I'd probably try to enjoy the moments a little bit more
at
the time.
Yeah. Slow it down a little bit. Yeah.
Just sit back and enjoy it.
Breathe. What about you?
Yeah, let me tell you a quick funny story and I'll answer that.
Okay.
One night, Gary Valiant and myself was working the Wild Boys at the was it the Wilson County Fair or something?
I remember this.
This guy says, "Hey, I dare you throw him on my vehicle out there." I said, "Okay." So I suplexed Steve through his windshield. So the guy's mad. He's like, "Y'all done went through my windshield. I didn't want you to do that." Well, you didn't tell us what to do. And then Ben was on top of the slide, and He said, I guess you're going to have to hit me, knock me down the slide. I said, okay, this one's going to hurt. I gave Ben a receipt for his Idaho taters.
Hey, to add to that story, we're going down to Midway, and we got all these teenage, punks. They're like, oh, this crap's fake, this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
I looked at Shane, and I'm like, get a lady. He hit us harder.
Yeah.
Shane Morton hit me harder than I've ever been hit in my life, right between my eyes. And I said, I'll never ask for that again.
But to answer your question, would I do it over again? It's a yes and no question, too.
Yeah.
If you give me these guys right here every day of the week, 7 days a week.
Okay. All right.
But if you want to give me some new stuff and all that, no. Okay. Absolutely not.
Yeah, this is the guys.
These are the guys, and I want to, kind of like you said, give flowers or buy flowers.
Sure,
to someone's living.
Yeah.
Those guys right there.
Yeah.
And I'm not speaking for Ben and Steve, but they made us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And if it wasn't for them, we'd be nobody.
Right.
That sucks. I was going to say the exact same thing. You stole my thunder.
Again.
Oh, man. Well,
I don't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
I think what is special about this is after so many years, we're still sitting around and people are still interested and people are still talking about what we did.
Amen. Yeah.
That's one of the most special things that people hadn't forgot.
Yeah, amen. No, I mean, that's the point. And I want to prove that by welcoming anyone who would like to come up and ask an audience question. Feel free to come on up or I'll keep talking. So who would like to come on up? Bowtie's got something, right? Quentin? All right, we got somebody right here. Introduce yourself, sir.
My name is Albert Cates.
All right.
And I want to know what happened to all the good wrestling.
Sitting right here.
I mean, what's with all this young group that's coming in and just, you can see the moves before they even make moves, or hear the moves before they even make moves.
Best answer I can give you, times change. It was different even when I got in. It was, it was different when I broke into business. And those old guys probably said, what the hell is this guy doing? Why is he in here? I'm not going to say it's a bad wrestling. It's just not our style. And I really don't want to piss anybody off, but I don't think those guys could do our style.
Right.
Just like he said, there's something wrong with us mentally to do that.
Well, I mean, that's what put on the good show.
And now look, these guys are a lot more athletic, can do a lot more jumping, a lot more flips, but I don't know, it's just a different style that we did.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it different.
Yeah.
And that's what packed the house.
There you go.
Yep.
It's kind of like this. Like they say, if you don't evolve with time, then you get lost. And they're evolving with time. Our time is over.
Yeah.
And we realize that, and we're a dying art that's going to never be probably duplicated again. And it's moving on. Time moves on.
Yeah. That's the sad part for sure. Somebody else got a question? Thank you, sir. Okay, come on.
I mean, it's like I said, more of a comment so than a question. But I mean, so like when this ECW came out, Stream Championship Wrestling, I'm sitting there thinking, well, these guys right here were already doing it on the local scene right here in the Middle Tennessee area. They just didn't have the TV that ECW had. I mean, these guys are getting way more extreme. They're way ahead of their time in a lot of ways.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. No, I mean, well, did you guys notice that there was a lot more blood that came along after? I know there was blood before, but did you notice how it ramped up?
Yeah. I think the biggest difference is that when we did it, it was a storyline.
Right. Yeah.
And everything was done for a purpose, and not, okay, we're going to have a match and you go out here and throw through 15 tables.
Right.
It was a storyline. It meant something. Every punch meant something. Every ounce of blood meant something. And
through a table, it was a time to go through the table.
It was a time to go through the table.
You didn't do it every night. The timing of it.
Right. Right. Everything had the time, and once it started going hardcore, then everybody just did stuff.
It was just blood for blood's sake. It
Yeah.
wasn't that wasn't part
With
of
no
the
story.
Yeah. All right, who else has got a question? All right, sir, introduce yourself.
My name is Eric Harris. I'm 43 years old, and I've been a wrestling fan ever since I was a baby. One of the words that is used that I hear a lot in the wrestling business is legacy. It's talked about a lot. When you see guys like AJ Styles and the James Storm and Chris Harris become as big as they have, but they had to face you guys. Doesn't their success, in a way, cement your success because they had to face you guys before they became who they became?
I think Shane is the best one to answer that one.
Well, to me, you know, they came in and they learned how to perfect their craft. And could anybody here got signed? Absolutely. We just wasn't in the right place at the right time. I remember, I don't know, probably 10 or 12 years ago, the late great Jerry Jarrett made a huge compliment to myself and Forsaken one night. He said I could have made money with you guys. And I said, well, I appreciate that. Thank you. But yeah, you know, that to me though, it does, people ask them where did it come from? Well, I come from here, here, and here. I work this guy, this guy, this guy. Do they know us? And maybe not so many, maybe we're not a worldwide name or a household name, but we are a legacy in this area. And since you mentioned that, I've told Jimmy time and time again, thank you for keeping our stories alive. Because if it wasn't for this podcast, Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling, a lot of people wouldn't know who we are.
And you talk about like with James, it is an honor knowing he went to the next step, because I was his first tag team partner ever, and we're still good friends. But when you see somebody make it like that, it makes you feel proud. You had a little thing in it. You just had a touch of that with him.
That's great. I like that. Does anybody else have a question? All right. This looks like the home team here.
Yep. I got a question for the Devils and the Mortons.
Okay.
The very first hardcore match y'all had, what was it?
I believe Steve's got this one.
Yeah, there's been so many, it'd be hard, because I would assume, because it was part of a storyline. And so the very first hardcore match was just part of the storyline that built up just from to that point. It wasn't just hardcore just for being hardcore, you know.
Yeah, it was probably built up, what, 6 months, 9 months before then.
Yeah.
Before we even got that crazy on everything.
I mean, it got so crazy. Steve got his hand broke. And we had just won the tag team titles, and I was the tag team champions for, 9 months by myself. Old Ben Jordan come out and saved me every once in a while. Steve Neely would come out. Somebody come out and save me. But
I didn't come out.
You did? you told me to watch the knee, and I did.
You watched it all?
Yeah, I did. So, but, you know, I think that's the whole point there, is we didn't go out and say, hey, let's just do a big street fight tonight because we can.
Right.
It wasn't the time nor the place.
It wasn't needed at the time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, thank you for your question, man.
Thank you.
Keep rocking the Devil's look. I love it, man. You got to appreciate the people, right?
You know, Jimmy, I'd like to say one thing.
Of course you can.
We left one thing out, and that was the fan. The fan of what drive you in that ring.
Amen.
You know?
Amen.
You can't just put stuff together and go out there and expect the people to like it.
Right.
You got to feed off the fans. If you can't keep them going, you ain't got nothing.
Amen.
And that's what we're losing nowadays. It's the fans.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah.
So anyway, I just want to throw that in. That's one thing hadn't been said was the fans.
No, and that's the most important part. Yeah.
Sammy Manier.
Sammy Manier, legendary promoter. You got a question?
I do.
All right.
For the guys that worked heel and baby, how many preferred heel and how many preferred baby?
Heel.
Okay. I've asked over the years, about 200 wrestlers that.
and 195 of them told me heel.
Heel.
For me, it was always baby. I've only been heel like 6 months in my whole career. I've always just been a baby, and I love to be in the baby spot.
Which one do you like?
The baby. I can sell more gimmicks at the table.
I can see that.
That was great. What about you guys?
We had a great run as babies because we had such great heels.
Yeah.
But when we got older and we turned heel, we're like, now we see they were having so much fun being heel. So we liked that a whole lot better.
Yeah.
I think heel was definitely more fun.
Right.
But working these guys, as long as it was the Devils as babies, that was hard to beat also.
Yeah.
I mean, they had so much heat, and I'm not going to say it's an ego, but it does give you the chills when you walk through the door and you get the pop.
Right.
And it's not because you're that damn good, it's because they've got that much
Helped
heat.
you be there, yeah.
It's, he said he wasn't speaking for us earlier, but he was, and I'll speak for all of us. The common denominator sits right here.
Amen, yeah.
And their heat is the reason we're over.
Yeah, amen.
That's a fact.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, we got a question, young lady. Can you introduce yourself?
Penny Cakes.
Okay.
I've known all of these guys for years.
All right.
Dante, how long have you been wrestling?
I started in 77. So what would that be? This 2024? How much?
47, I believe.
47 years. I've been in the wrestling business.
How many of y'all remember Jeannie May?
She was the one that had the skunk hair.
Oh, yeah.
That sat in the back row.
Yes, I do. I do remember.
Thank you so much for your question. Who else has got a question? Getting low on time here. TriStar Wrestling is coming out soon.
Hey, just a quick story.
Yeah.
Talking about them having so much. I stayed in a feud with Forsaken for about a year, and we did everything that we thought we could do, and so we get to the end of the match. 59 minutes, I never touched it in this building, and the people were going just crazy.
Yeah.
Last 30 seconds, I kept my hand on him, got him all busted open, and the bell rang. I'm like, what the hell happened? The time limit's up. I'm like, you're kidding me. Well, two guys come out and jumped me. So we'd already done where we can go, as far as we can go.
Yeah.
And the people was like, oh my God. They just knew he was going, and he turned to help me and became my partner for, I don't know what, 3 or 4 weeks, something like that. And the people loved him. Yeah. And then he turned on me again, and we started right back again.
Once a heel, always a heel.
Of course, yeah. Now, I got a theory on this heel baby thing. So, heels, they come out there and they yell at the people, boo, and they get their frustrations out. Where the baby face, even if you have a bad day, you're coming in, hey brother, love you brother. You don't get that out. Do you feel like maybe that could add to liking being a heel because you can get that frustration out? I've always heard the heels are the nicer guys too. Not saying you guys aren't nice guys. I'm just saying Rick's bigger than me. So.
Well, I mean, and if you know Stiffy McGillicuddy, so we know who he is.
The thing is that when I walked through the door, I was no longer Damien, or I was no longer Forsaken.
Right.
When I walked in the door, I was Rick Reynolds. And when I walked through, that's when I went into character.
Yeah.
And I could just turn it on and off. It wasn't like I had a bad day,
right,
or it was me portraying what I was getting paid to do.
Yeah.
And something I had a passion about, and not that I had a bad day and it was easier for me to be. Sure. Be just vent on somebody.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. No.
They didn't have to.
Right.
I mean, really, they didn't have to go out and yell and cuss at people.
Right.
It was the music.
Right.
Halloween music.
The music hits and it's over with.
And they had heat as soon as they walked through the door.
Right.
They didn't have to go out to GP. Hell,
right.
It was there.
Right.
I mean, as soon as the music played, it was there. They walked through the door, it got worse.
I think that's the answer right there, actually.
Me and Tommy was laughing earlier about how many guys that found out they was working me and Tommy and pack up and leave because they would believe the gimmick, not knowing they would have a night off.
Somebody that did that. I gotta have a name. One name. Can we give one name?
The Whiteheads.
True story. They believed our stuff so much. I guess it looked so good. Man, we should have been in New York making the big bucks. Because they wouldn't want to work us. They believed our stuff, and they didn't know it'd be a night off. It'd be so easy.
You know, I was in Pulaski one time getting ready to go out. I didn't have an opponent. And he'd left. He packed his stuff and left. And because they believed the gimmick, you know, and you know the Halloween music and the mask and the dress, you know, they believed it, you know, and it was.
I did too for 5 years.
Let me tell you something funny. There was one guy that he used to hate them, and especially Forsaken. He'd get out there and Forsaken make him so mad he'd faint. He'd act like he was passed out, and he'd pee on himself every week.
Well, gentlemen, I just want to thank y'all so much for coming and doing this with me and doing this for our show. Honestly, I feel like in a lot of ways, you know, we've had so many guests. Some of y'all are in here with us, some coming soon, Cousin Sonny. But honestly, I feel like this podcast is kind of one and the same with what you all were doing. We just love the business. We love the wrestling business, and we want to get the stories that you all driving down the road, flipping cigarettes on Cold Breeze's mask. I mean, those kind of stories will go in time if you don't tell them, you know. And I just greatly thank all of y'all. Now, you know, of course you can. I'm sorry. Yeah, bring it on in, brother.
I don't have no questions. I just want to make a few comments. I'm Harold. I've been a wrestling fan since I was 10 years old. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
Anyways, I've always been his biggest fan.
Yeah.
He's told me to shut up more than anybody I guess. But no, anyways, looking at it from a fan's point of view, these guys kept you wanting. I mean, they kept you coming back.
Coming back. Yeah.
They kept you coming back. They kept you wanting to spend your money, come and watch them, see what was going to happen. I got a wild hair. I was wanting to be a wrestler, so I went to talk to Shane. Shane said, "Come to training." One night training with Shane, I was like, "I'm gonna stick as a friend." But I just want to thank you guys for the memories.
Yeah,
you're welcome.
Thank you for being a fan. Thank you.
Thank you for supporting us.
Thank you. Yeah, because like they've said, there's no them without you guys. You know. So guys, we want to thank y'all for coming on the Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling podcast. I do apologize, Steve and Steve. We got you on the Wolfie show, Steve. I was just leaving you out because of Shane.
I know it.
So, you know.
I'm used to it.
But guys, thank y'all. I mean, seriously, it's been an honor. And you know, we'll do this again next year or something.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. All right.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with the Plastic Sheik on Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling. All right, guys. Thank y'all so much for doing it.
Okay.
Hope it wasn't boring.
Yeah, I had to go.
That's right, it's the talk of Middle Tennessee, the channel you love to hate and the channel you hate to love. It's Brian Turner from Brian Turner's VHS Rehab. And if you're looking for matches from Wolfie D to Jerry Lawler to Dusty Rhodes and the team that put a pimp before your eyes and a goatee between your thighs, Booty Call and Athena, go to lostwrestling.com. See, I made it easy for you. Brian Turner's VHS Rehab. Booyah.
Hey everyone, this is Shane from Insane Shane's World. I release wrestling figures of enhancement talent, mid-card wrestlers, and wrestlers that you never thought would have a figure available. So if you're interested in adding a really cool and rare figure to your collection, then don't hesitate to contact me at shamtheman73@gmail.com. That's SHAMtheman73@gmail.com. You can also join my Facebook group. Just search Insane Shane's World.
Oh, Sheik, man, dude, right? That was a blast, man.
Yeah, man. I hope everybody enjoys it as much as I enjoyed being a part of it.
Yeah,
you know, I'm anxious to do it again.
Yeah, definitely. We are, we are very, very excited to be able to do that again in whatever form or function we would, I do think I've figured out a better way to make the recording sound after. Obviously the audio is a little bit loud in certain spots, but it had to be. There is a lot of room noise. It was a large room. The Armory is a big room with a ring and some people in it. It still doesn't cut down on some of the noise. There was a door constantly closing and opening, but whatever, man. Like I said, my son Cash, awesome job with the levels, you with the quality control of the recording. I mean, I was just so relieved that it sounds as good as it does. Let's just say that. So, yeah. But
I'm tickled with it, man. I'm tickled it turned out great.
Yeah, but I always have ways to fix it for next time. And that's the thing is where we'd never done this before and never had this deal, I've got a better way to do it and take more advantage of the microphone that I have, that I spent some money on it because it does more things. And I think next time it'll even sound better. So, but hey, let's get that next time first. So anyway, we are available. Any of y'all out there, we are available for live podcasts in your area. I know we've got some Canadian listeners and UK, maybe not you guys as much without some serious considerations on monetary compensation. But, when it comes down to it, you and I, we just love doing this podcast. It started out two brothers talking about pro wrestling, and it's turned into something that means a lot to the people that mean a lot to us, so.
Yeah, man, I'm having a good time doing it and hope for many more years down the road of doing it.
Absolutely. As long as it's not making us crazy, right? So, but the cool deal is we gave away a lot of stickers. So lots of stickers. If you were there, hopefully you got a sticker. We did give a bunch to the Kayfabe Cave. So drop by there and try to ask for one and see where you can get it. They've, hopefully they're doing what they want to do with them. I hope, it's all about promotion, and hopefully you all got a sticker. If you didn't, we're plumb out right now, but I'm happy about that, so.
Yeah, absolutely. We can order some more if we have to, right?
Absolutely. And, I even talked to Kroll about some T-shirts and stuff. So there's more stuff coming, and, just stick around with us. Obviously, we're Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling on all social media platforms at GMBMPW, YouTube, X, Facebook, Instagram. Click follow, click subscribe, help us out. Thank you all of you all that already do. But if you don't, go ahead and hit us up. Also, if you don't mind, go to @LiveWolfieD on all of those same formats. Click follow and subscribe on that one as well. Wolfie and I have some cool stuff. On Monday, we just released a archive show because he and I both did a lot of stuff last weekend. We were pretty worn out. So instead of rush to get a guest, what we did is take advantage of this huge archive of thousands of clips that I have saved back for the podcast. So we built a entire show around Memphis legends. So it's either coming from a Memphis legend or a story about a Memphis legend. And that should be fun. I know we're bringing on Pat Rose, Live Wolfie D. We're going to have Pat Rose coming soon. So I'm excited to talk to him again. You and I had such a great time with him. A lot of fun. Pat Rose is cool. We've got Downtown Bruno Part 2 coming up. We got King Cobra. Hopefully we've got some more coming up, but we'll let y'all know about that in the future. I know for a fact you and I are booked up right now. I've got probably 15 names. Let me just say some of them real quick. Mean Mike Woods, Sonny Street, Gordon Dunaway, Billy Montana. Eclipso from Virginia, who trained Kenny Steele, my guy. Dr. Squash, Mikey Dunn, Johnny Rose from England, Sammy Manier, Danny Pig. Excellent names coming up. We're going to have, we're booked solid, Sheik. So we don't even have to look for people. Now we just got to time it out right. I'm stoked.
Time it down, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, as always, and as we always wish, we just want to say thank you immensely to all of you that listen to us and support us in whatever way you do. Obviously, we have shirts on Pro Wrestling Tees, or if you just want to just click subscribe on something you've never done, or listen to an extra episode that you've never listened to. If you've heard some and you haven't heard all, go back and check the other ones out. We think they're pretty good too. So Other than that, Sheik, I'm out of breath. I ain't got nothing else to say. What about you?
I think it's all been said, brother.
Yeah. I'm good at that, aren't I?
Always.
Yeah, but the one thing I want to say is, man, it was good to hang with you for a weekend and, have a guy's weekend. And we went and picked up cash, stayed in a hotel room, and
got some free waffles at the.
Yeah, we got tons of my favorite waffles, by the way. So,
Ate some Cheesecake Factory. I mean, we
ate some cheesecake. We had a good time, and I can't wait to do it again. But it was just fun to get to spend the time with you guys, and we haven't done that in a while, man. Just you and us, just you and I, So it was a blast, man. So anyway, we thank you all once again. I want to thank the Devils, the Mortons, and the Wild Boys. They were excellent, great friends of the show, great people. Look them up if you haven't. Brian Turner's VHS Rehab has a ton of all their matches. Definitely go check that out. But most importantly, we just thank you, the listener. And for that, I think that's all I got, man.
Don't forget.
With a tear in my eye, this is the greatest moment in my life.
We'll see you later.
This has been a James Rock Street production.